Have you ever wondered why the person you love sometimes mirrors your fears instead of your love? Or what if I told you that you could shift their behavior? Not through words, not through effort, but through the silent, divine act of assuming you are the one. Because the moment you declare, I am the one, the universe bends to reflect that truth. Years ago, I experienced something that changed the way I saw love and reality itself. There was someone dear to me whose behavior seemed distant, unpredictable, unkind even. I wanted them to see me differently, to treat me with love. I tried conversations, effort, waiting, yet nothing changed. One evening, I sat alone and whispered, I am the one. Not as a wish, but as a truth. I imagined being loved, valued, chosen. I felt it so deeply that tears came, not from longing, but from knowing. Within days, that person began to shift. Their words softened, their energy changed, but the miracle was not in them. It was in me. I had stopped begging for change outside and began being the change within. You see, when you affirm, I am the one, you declare dominion over your reality. You are not waiting for your SP, your specific person, to change. You are affirming that you are the cause, and the outer world must echo your inner assumption. The phrase, I am the one, is not a simple affirmation. It is a decree. Each time you speak it, you dissolve doubt and call forth your higher self, the creator consciousness that molds all things. When you feel unloved, it is not your SP withholding affection. It is your inner assumption denying it. But when you assume, I am the one they love, the reflection must obey. When you say the words, I am the one, you are not pleading with the universe. You are proclaiming your divine identity. These words are not requests, they are laws. For I am is the name of being itself, and the moment you attach anything to I am, you summon it into existence. You see, you have spoken these words all your life, but often in ignorance. You have said, I am tired, I am not loved, I am waiting, and every time life faithfully conspired to prove you right. For consciousness has only one task, to reflect the state it occupies. It does not argue, it does not reason, it does not delay. It simply mirrors the image impressed upon it. To say, I am the one, is to awaken from the trance of separation. Most people live believing that what they desire lies outside of them, that love, respect, and recognition are gifts the world must bestow. But these are shadows cast by the light of inner assumption. The world, with all its seeming others, is your own consciousness objectified. When you know yourself as the one, you cease waiting for permission to be loved. You stop seeking proof of your worth in another's eyes. You become the source, the fountain from which all affection flows. When you stand in this state and affirm, I am the one, you are reclaiming authorship over your experience. You no longer react, you create. You no longer chase, you attract. Because your assumption of identity shapes every encounter, every gesture, every word spoken to you. If you believe you are secondary, life will arrange itself to confirm your position. But if you believe, with feeling and conviction, I am the one, then every reflection must bow to that truth. Consider this not as a poetic phrase, but as a psychological law. The human imagination is the creative power itself. The words, I am, announce to the subconscious the state you occupy, and the subconscious, infinite, obedient, and fertile, brings forth that state as fact. So when you say, I am the one, you are planting the seed of chosen identity. You are declaring that within you dwells the complete fulfillment of all you seek. It does not matter what your senses report, for they are merely the echo of yesterday's assumptions. You must live as though your declaration were already real. Feel it until it becomes natural. Feel the confidence, the calm, the quiet joy of one who knows they are chosen, loved, and secure. That feeling, sustained, becomes flesh. Reality rearranges itself to mirror your conviction. Your SP, your specific person, your relationships, your opportunities. All of them respond to your new self-concept, for they have no life apart from the one who imagines them. It is not arrogance to say, I am the one. It is humility, for it acknowledges the divine order of being. There is only one power, the I am, within you, and all things proceed from it. To deny your own creative authority is to live as a beggar in a kingdom that is yours by birthright. When you truly grasp that the world is yourself pushed out, you stop fighting shadows and begin mastering substance. You realize that love cannot be lost because you are its source. Respect cannot be withheld because you are its cause. Think of the sun and its rays. The rays cannot exist apart from the sun, they are its expression. In the same way, every experience in your life is an expression of your inner light, your state of consciousness. If you change the state, the shadow must change. Saying, "I am the one," is turning your face toward that light, reclaiming your center, and remembering that everything begins and ends within. When you declare it, do not say it lightly. Speak it with feeling, as though announcing a revelation to your soul. Close your eyes and sense the shift. See yourself as the chosen one, the loved one, the central figure in your story. Feel the certainty that no one can take this position from you, because it was never granted by the world. It is inherent. It is your divine inheritance. Each time you affirm, "I am the one," the subconscious records it as truth. Doubt may whisper, the outer world may contradict, but persist. Continue to occupy this awareness until it feels effortless. You are training your inner conversation to agree with your higher identity. The moment your inner dialogue changes, your outer life begins to echo it. People will treat you differently, not because they have changed, but because you have. You have shifted states, and the mirror of life must follow. The world listens to the voice you speak within yourself. If that voice says, "I am overlooked," you will be. If it says, "I am desired," you will be. The difference between lack and fulfillment is simply where you stand in consciousness. "I am the one" moves you from waiting to having, from hoping to knowing. It is the bridge between desire and realization. In truth, there was never more than one. The love you seek, the SP you desire, the harmony you crave, all are expressions of the one consciousness experiencing itself. When you awaken to this truth, you cease to manipulate or control. You simply assume the state of already being, and everything aligns in divine order. You become the living proof that feeling is creation, that consciousness is the only cause, and that identity is destiny. Speak these words daily. "I am the one." Not with strain, but with quiet authority. Let them rise from your heart like a song remembered from eternity. Each repetition engraves the truth deeper into your being, and soon, without effort, you will notice the world reflecting back that same song, in faces that smile, in messages that affirm, in love that flows naturally. The truth is simple. You are not waiting for someone to choose you. You are remembering that you were the chooser all along. The moment you assume, "I am the one," creation bows to that assumption, for consciousness alone is the power that gives life to form. And in that awareness, all things are added unto you. When you look at another person and see behavior that wounds you, frustrates you, or seems distant from love, you are not observing an independent will, you are gazing into the mirror of your own assumption. Every individual who crosses your path is a reflection of the state of consciousness you presently occupy. The outer world does not initiate action, it responds. What you believe about yourself, what you assume to be true of life, quietly projects itself upon the screen of relationships and returns as the behavior of others. Your SP, the specific person you long for or struggle with, is no exception. They do not act upon you, they act out the vibration you sustain within yourself. If you dwell in the feeling that you are ignored, overlooked, or unworthy, the world faithfully plays its part. Your SP may withdraw, remain silent, or mirror indifference, not because they choose to, but because consciousness can only reflect what it is fed. It is like standing before a mirror and expecting a smile when you frown. The reflection has no choice but to imitate the expression you present. This is the unbreakable law of assumption. To change the reflection, you must first alter the image that stands before it. No amount of outer persuasion, pleading, or strategy can shift what has not been changed within. The invisible always precedes the visible, and your inner state is the blueprint from which the outer world is built. When you recognize this, you stop asking, "Why do they behave this way?" and begin asking, "What am I assuming that makes this behavior necessary?" The answer is always found within. Perhaps you have assumed rejection, or perhaps you secretly believe love must be earned. These quiet convictions, often unspoken, sculpt the outer performance of others. Your SP is a mirror so perfect that even your hidden doubts are revealed. Yet this realization is not meant to condemn but to liberate. For if they are your mirror, then you hold the power to transform the image. When you change your assumption about yourself, their behavior must adjust to remain consistent with the new version of you. Begin with this awareness. No one can treat you as less than you assume yourself to be. If you assume that you are cherished, your world organizes itself around that truth. You will see affection where once there was coldness, understanding where there was confusion. The change may seem miraculous, but it is simply law. You are not altering another's free will. You are elevating the state of consciousness from which they draw their cues. Every person you know exists within you as an idea, a concept held in imagination. When you refine that concept, their behavior aligns effortlessly. Imagine a playwright who writes a scene filled with conflict and sorrow. The actors can perform nothing but what is written. But when the writer revises the script to one of harmony and joy, the same actors speak new lines, display new emotions, and create a new story. You are that playwright, and your SP is simply performing the role your assumptions have scripted. If you want a new performance, you must rewrite the inner play. Speak silently within yourself. They adore me. They see my light. They are drawn to me in love and peace. Feel the reality of these words until they saturate your being. Do not look to them for confirmation. Look within for conviction. When the conviction is complete, the reflection follows as faithfully as the echo follows sound. The power to transform another's behavior is not control but understanding. The moment you see that every act of your SP is your consciousness objectified, resentment dissolves. You no longer label them as cruel or distant. You recognize that they are showing you a forgotten belief. You can then forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you have awakened from the illusion of separateness. The outer world is not against you. It is your own awareness seeking to be understood. In this light, even painful interactions become sacred. They are mirrors guiding you back to self-knowledge. Practice watching your reactions. If their silence stirs fear, it is not their silence, but your fear that needs transmutation. If their words sting, it is not the words, but the wound within you that craves healing. Each moment offers a chance to return to your true state, the awareness that you are love itself. When you dwell in that consciousness, others have no choice but to respond in kind. The mirror cannot contradict the light that shines upon it. When you affirm, "I am the one they love," you are not demanding their affection. You are assuming your natural place as the embodiment of love. The behavior of your SP will begin to rearrange itself, sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. You may find them more attentive, kinder, or unexpectedly expressive. But the real change happens in you. You no longer depend on their reaction to know your worth. You radiate it. And because the inner and outer are one, that radiance must return multiplied. Do not be discouraged if the reflection takes time to catch up. Remember, the mirror moves only when the image moves. Persist in your new assumption. Persist when the outer world tempts you to believe otherwise. Your SP's behavior is fluid, not fixed. It bends easily before the steady force of a renewed self-concept. Keep returning to the feeling of being the chosen one, the loved one, the center of your own creation. Speak kindly within, nurture the vision of harmony, and soon the mirror of life will reflect nothing but your transformed belief. This is the education of consciousness. To learn that the world is yourself pushed out. To know that every interaction is a lesson in self-awareness. To understand that your SP is not a separate will to be conquered, but a reflection of your own state to be illumined. When this understanding becomes natural, manipulation ends, struggle ceases, and love flows in its purest form. For when the inner assumption is perfect, the outer behavior cannot resist its reflection. The mirror must smile when you do. Feeling always precedes manifestation, for the unseen is father to the seen. The outer world is but the offspring of an inner mood, and what you feel yourself to be determines what the world must echo. To believe otherwise is to live backward. To imagine the shadow governs the light. Every event that meets you, every gesture from another, every apparent coincidence is born of a feeling once entertained, and left to mature within. You may repeat words endlessly, you may visualize with detail, but unless you feel the reality of your desire, you are only sowing seeds on stone. Feeling is the fertile soil of creation. It is not emotion, which flickers and fades, but the quiet knowing that something is already true. Imagine two states before you, one of lack and one of fulfillment. You may speak all day of abundance while inwardly feeling fear of loss, and life will bring you more reasons to fear. You may affirm love while secretly feeling abandoned, and the mirror of the world will show you distance and delay. The law does not answer words, it answers vibration. It reads the unspoken conviction of the heart. The secret, then, is not to force feeling, but to dwell in it, to relax into the assumption that the wish is already accomplished. You are not trying to create something new, you are calling forth that which has always existed in potential. Each possible reality waits like an unplayed melody, and the tuning of your feelings selects the song. When you feel rich, the mind discovers paths to wealth. When you feel loved, faces appear that reflect affection. The world does not resist you, it simply organizes itself around your inner frequency. So if your outer world displeases you, do not battle circumstances, adjust the feeling that produced them. The world is a mirror, not a sculptor. Many have asked, how can I feel what is not yet visible? The answer is to remember that imagination is not make-believe, but the creative act itself. To imagine yourself as already possessing what you desire is to feel it into being. Pretend if you must until pretending becomes knowing. Sit quietly and let the body relax. Allow the senses to be still. Then assume the feeling that you would have if your desire were a fact. Do not think about the wish, think from it. Let the tone of fulfillment settle over you like warmth from a fire. In that state, you are no longer seeking, you are having. The difference between a wish and realization is only the depth of feeling. The one who merely wishes remains divided, confessing by their own longing that they do not yet possess. The one who feels fulfillment unites with the object of desire and gives it life. You cannot possess what you are unwilling to become in consciousness. Therefore, become first inwardly what you would be outwardly, and all else follows. It may come through people, through chance encounters, through the reordering of events, but come it must, for feeling is the law that moves the world. Do not confuse feeling with strain. Effort belongs to the world of doing, not being. To feel is effortless once resistance is surrendered. When you cease arguing with appearances, the inner state becomes easy to occupy. This is why gratitude is such a powerful doorway. It turns your attention from lack to fulfillment. To give thanks before the evidence appears is to confess that you already have it. The feeling of gratitude opens the heart, and the open heart magnetizes its likeness. You have known this in small ways. When you rise in joy, people smile at you for no reason. When you carry resentment, the day seems to conspire against you. These are not coincidences, but the play of states. You walk through the world wrapped in invisible moods, and every encounter reveals which garment you wear. To change the fabric of your life, you must change the texture of your feeling. You must dare to feel abundance when the purse is light, to feel loved when alone, to feel healthy when weak. The senses may deny it, but the senses report to the feeling, not the other way around. Every transformation begins in the invisible moment when feeling shifts. You may not yet see the harvest, but the seed is planted. Persist, and it will sprout. The danger lies in oscillation, one day in faith, the next in fear. The soil cannot bear fruit when the seed is constantly uprooted, so remain faithful to the feeling of the fulfilled desire. Let it live in you even when reason mocks. Remember that life itself is imagination externalized. What you sustain within must appear without. There will come a moment when the feeling becomes natural. You will stop rehearsing it and start being it. At that instant, the world begins to conform. People you once chased will seek you. Opportunities you feared to lose will appear without effort. You have crossed from desire to embodiment. The outer change may come swiftly or subtly, but it will come as certainly as dawn follows night, for feeling has taken root in consciousness. Educate yourself, then, in the art of feeling. Make it your daily practice to withdraw attention from what is and give it to what you choose to experience. Feel it real. Walk in that inner certainty as though it were already visible. The unseen currents of creation will move to fulfill your assumption. Feeling is the bridge between thought and manifestation, the living proof that creation is finished and awaits only recognition. All things are prepared for the one who knows that feeling is the secret act of possession. Imagination is the sacred classroom of creation, the hidden workshop where the unseen becomes seen. It is within this silent space that the laws of reality are taught, not through words but through vision and feeling. What you imagine with faith and persistence eventually solidifies into form, for imagination is not a dream to be dismissed. It is the creative power itself. Every great invention, every love story, every healing began first as an imagined state, a thought clothed in feeling. The outer world is only the record of imaginal acts made visible. When you close your eyes and turn inward, you enter the place where all things are possible. The senses grow still, and what you believe to be imagination becomes the living substance of reality. It is here that you may shape and reshape the world without resistance. The imagination does not wait for permission, it answers to no one but you. When you sit quietly and picture your SP, the person you wish to experience love or harmony with, do not look at them as they are now, look at them as they would be if your wish were already fulfilled. See the gentleness in their eyes, hear their laughter, feel the warmth of their affection. It is not make-believe, it is the rehearsal of creation. Most people use imagination passively, replaying memories of hurt or fear, and thus they recreate the same patterns again and again. The imagination does not discern between good or bad, it simply creates what is impressed upon it. To imagine rejection is to plant rejection, to imagine love is to summon love. Therefore, discipline of imagination is the true education of life. You must become aware of what you imagine when you are alone, for it is these secret imaginal acts that sculpt your destiny. When you awaken to this, you understand that imagination is the meeting place between the visible and the invisible, the seen and the unseen. It is not a distant faculty, but the very essence of your being. What you imagine determines the quality of your experiences. You may say, I did not imagine this conflict. But look deeper. Did you imagine yourself being misunderstood, being unappreciated, being small? Every outer event has its root in an inner image, often unconscious, but always creative. The imagination teaches not through force, but through reflection. When something unpleasant appears, it is not punishment, but instruction. It shows what imaginal act must be revised. The wise student of life does not curse the mirror, they change the image reflected. If your SP acts cold, imagine warmth. If they seem distant, imagine closeness. Persist in this inner vision until it feels natural, and the outer will bend in perfect obedience. This is not manipulation, it is restoration. You are calling forth the harmony that was always possible but left unimagined. To use imagination correctly, you must feel from the end rather than toward it. When you imagine from the end, you are no longer trying to make something happen. You are dwelling in the assumption that it has already happened. This is the divine act of creation. You do not say, I will be loved. You say, I am loved. You do not say, someday they will see me differently. You say, they already see me as their perfect match. The feeling of fulfillment is the seal upon the imaginal act. Without that feeling, the image is incomplete, like a seed never watered. You may wonder why imagination holds such power. It is because the universe itself is mental, a living consciousness that responds to pattern and belief. When you imagine vividly and consistently, you impress a pattern upon the invisible substance of reality. That pattern gathers form and expression until it becomes your world. This is not superstition but spiritual science. Every invention, every poem, every act of genius is born from this same source. The difference between the dreamer who succeeds and the one who fails lies in persistence. The successful dreamer continues to imagine, even when appearances deny it, trusting that the unseen is already forming. This is why imagination must be cultivated daily, as one would cultivate a garden. Weed out thoughts of doubt and fear, water the soil with gratitude and joy. Spend time each day in that inner classroom, seeing and feeling the life you choose to live. Speak to yourself inwardly as though the wish were fulfilled. Hear the conversations you would hear if your SP already adored you. Feel the comfort of that connection, the peace of being understood. When you open your eyes, carry that feeling with you as naturally as breath. The world will begin to mirror it back to you in unexpected ways. The imagination also has its own language, one of symbols and sensations. You may not always receive literal pictures. Sometimes a feeling, a color, or a sudden calmness indicates that the act has been accepted by the deeper mind. Trust those impressions. They are signs that the imaginal act is taking root. You do not dig up a seed to check its progress. You water it and wait. In the same way, when you have felt the scene of fulfillment and sensed its reality, let it go in faith. The unseen processes are already at work. Educating yourself in imagination is the highest form of learning. It teaches that all cause is internal, that all change begins within. When you understand this, you become free from the tyranny of circumstances. You stop asking others to behave differently and begin shaping your inner pictures instead. The moment the inner state shifts, the outer must conform. Imagination, disciplined by love and guided by feeling, is the key to transforming any condition. It is the invisible classroom where every lesson leads to mastery, and mastery is simply the recognition that you are already the author of your experience. Affirmations are powerful when they reach the realm of feeling, but they become unstoppable when they begin to rewrite the self-concept. The words you repeat each day are not simply statements, they are instructions to the subconscious mind about who you are. Every time you say, "I am," you declare identity. Every declaration becomes a thread in the garment of self that you wear in the invisible world, and this invisible garment determines every experience you meet. To affirm, "I am loved," "I am worthy," "I am chosen," is not wishful thinking. It is the act of clothing yourself in a new concept of being. The world cannot treat you apart from the self you believe yourself to be. Imagine the self as a living seed. Within that seed are patterns, memories, habits, and beliefs that define what kind of life grows from it. When you use affirmations, you are grafting a new pattern into that seed. You are telling the subconscious, "This is who I am now." The subconscious does not argue. It accepts every impression as law. It organizes the outer world to be consistent with the new inner pattern. That is why affirmations work, and why they must be spoken from conviction rather than doubt. The creative power responds only to identity, not to effort. If you affirm abundance while secretly believing you are poor, you create a divided state, and the world mirrors confusion. But if you affirm abundance and persist until the feeling of richness becomes natural, life must rearrange itself to match that state. The outer world is not separate from you. It is the shadow cast by your inner self-concept. This is the great secret that most overlook. They try to change circumstances without changing self. They seek love without assuming they are lovable, wealth without feeling abundant, peace without being at peace within. Affirmations are the tools by which you shift this inner self-definition. They are not magic words, but reminders of who you truly are beneath fear and conditioning. The words themselves are not enough. It is the feeling behind them that impresses the mind. When you say, "I am loved," you must feel the quiet assurance of being cherished. Feel the warmth of affection, the ease of belonging. Speak as though you are describing something that already exists. The mind does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is experienced. The feeling is the bridge. Once the new feeling becomes familiar, it begins to govern behavior, posture, and expectation. You walk differently, you speak differently, and people respond to this shift without knowing why. Affirmations also act as guardians of consciousness. They keep your attention aligned with what you choose rather than what you fear. The mind is constantly affirming something. If you do not choose your affirmations consciously, life will choose them by habit. Every complaint is an affirmation of limitation. Every declaration of gratitude is an affirmation of expansion. The disciplined mind selects its words as carefully as a sculptor selects stone. Through repetition, those words carve the image of the desired self until it stands complete. There is a rhythm to effective affirmation. It is not mechanical repetition, but meditative absorption. When you affirm, speak slowly and deliberately, allowing the meaning to sink beyond thought into feeling. The subconscious listens through emotion, not logic. As you repeat, "I am loved," Let the words grow heavy with truth. Let them sink into the heart until they are no longer words but being. The moment the statement feels natural, the transformation is complete. The world must confirm it because the inner vibration has changed. You may notice resistance at first. The old self will whisper, "This is not true." That voice is only memory and echo of past assumptions. Do not fight it, gently persist. Each repetition weakens the old pattern and strengthens the new. The subconscious does not reject persistence. Eventually, the feeling of the new self eclipses the memory of the old. Then the outer world, obedient servant that it is, follows suit. People begin to treat you as you treat yourself within. Opportunities appear that mirror your new confidence. What seemed impossible becomes ordinary, because you are now aligned with the version of self that lives easily with those experiences. You can test this truth in small ways. Begin each day with a single affirmation that defines your chosen state. I am the one who is loved deeply. I am the one who is successful. I am the one who lives in peace. Carry that statement as a silent melody throughout the day. Notice how your posture, tone, and reactions shift. Observe how conversations reflect this inner assumption. Even before outer evidence appears, you will feel the difference. That feeling is creation underway. Affirmations also reveal that there is no separation between self and reality. The world is the canvas, and your affirmed identity is the brushstroke. Every scene you experience is painted from within. When you affirm beauty, you begin to perceive beauty everywhere. When you affirm strength, challenges become stepping stones instead of walls. The power lies not in controlling others, but in defining yourself so clearly that the world has no choice but to echo your conviction. The transformation of self through affirmation is both gentle and profound. It does not require years, it requires consistency. The new self is born not in sudden flashes but through daily recognition. Each repetition builds momentum until the new concept of self becomes second nature. When that happens, the old identity fades like a dream upon waking. The world no longer reflects fear or lack because those vibrations no longer dwell within you. This is why affirmations are sacred acts. They are declarations of dominion over consciousness. They remind you that identity precedes experience, that you are not a victim of the outer world, but its creator. Every "I am" statement is a command to the unseen forces of reality, a decree that determines the pattern of manifestation. Therefore, speak with care, feel with certainty, and persist until the words and the world agree. Your specific person, the one you seek to change, attract, or harmonize with, does not exist apart from your own consciousness. This truth may at first seem strange or even unsettling, for it dissolves the illusion of separation that the senses insist upon. Yet it is the most liberating realization one can reach. Everything you experience, every person, circumstance, or event, is projected from within the self. Consciousness is not confined to the body, it is the infinite field in which all relationships unfold. To understand this is to reclaim the authority you have unconsciously given away to appearances. You are not at the mercy of another's behavior or mood. They exist within you, moving in response to the tone of your inner world. When you think of your specific person, you are not observing a being out there somewhere in space. You are communing with the concept of them that lives in imagination. That inner concept determines every interaction. If you see them as indifferent, you will meet indifference. If you see them as loving and devoted, you will encounter devotion. There is no gap between your assumption and their reflection. This is why trying to change someone through words or actions so often fails. It is an attempt to manipulate the mirror instead of altering the face it reflects. The only place true change can occur is within. Imagine holding a photograph of your SP. As you look at it, feelings arise. Perhaps longing, doubt, or joy. These feelings are the signals that tell you what you truly believe about the relationship. If the feeling is fear of loss, the photograph may as well be a mirror of absence. But if the feeling is love already possessed, the same image glows with fulfillment. The picture has not changed, your consciousness has. So it is with life. The outer person does not alter independently, they shift as your awareness of them shifts. This understanding transforms the way you approach relationships. Instead of pleading for affection, you begin to generate it. Instead of demanding recognition, you assume it. You become the source rather than the seeker. When you dwell in the state of being loved, you radiate an energy that compels the world to echo it. Your SP becomes the perfect vessel through which your assumption expresses itself. Their words and gestures become aligned with your inner conviction, not because they have lost free will, but because consciousness is one, and there is no real division between you. Consider what happens when you enter a room full of tension. Without anyone speaking, you feel the atmosphere, yet that same room can feel light and warm when laughter fills it. The people and furniture are the same, but the invisible vibration has changed. Relationships function the same way. Your SP is sensitive to the tone of your consciousness, whether spoken or not. When you worry, they mirror uncertainty. When you rest in confidence, they mirror peace. The silent conversation of feeling is the true language of connection. To master this principle, you must train yourself to think of your SP only from the end you desire. When memories of pain arise, revise them in imagination. See the moment as you wish it had been, feel the reconciliation, and accept it as fact. You are not lying to yourself, you are selecting a higher version of reality. The subconscious does not care about chronological order. It responds to present feeling. If you replace the old story with one of harmony and affection, the subconscious accepts that as the new template, and life rearranges to fulfill it. This practice requires faith in the unseen, for appearances often lag behind inner transformation. The world is slow to catch up to a freshly assumed identity, but it must catch up, for it has no life of its own. Continue to live inwardly in the state of fulfillment, even when the senses contradict you. Speak inwardly as though your SP were already expressing the love you imagine. Feel their presence when they are absent, their warmth when they seem cold. What you sustain within becomes magnetic. What you deny cannot cling to you. There is profound freedom in knowing your SP lives within you. It releases you from anxiety and comparison. You no longer chase after signs or proof, because you understand that proof follows faith. You stop asking, when will they change? And begin declaring, they already are. The moment you occupy that awareness, subtle shifts begin. A message, a glance, a gesture, all confirm the new assumption taking form. But even before these signs appear, you feel complete, for the connection is already real in consciousness. Every love you have ever experienced has been a reflection of your self-concept. If you saw yourself as unworthy, you met partners who proved it. If you saw yourself as cherished, you met those who adored you. The pattern is consistent because the law is unbreakable. What you believe yourself to be, you project. Your SP is your mirror, showing you not who they are, but who you are being. Change the being, and the mirror transforms. So use every thought of your SP as an opportunity to affirm unity rather than separation. When they cross your mind, bless them with love. See them happy, fulfilled, and drawn irresistibly to your light. Do not wonder how or when. That is the domain of the unseen intelligence that governs manifestation. Your task is only to remain faithful to the inner image of harmony. The rest unfolds naturally as water seeks its level. You will come to realize that your SP is not a separate personality to be conquered, but an aspect of your own consciousness seeking integration. When you love them from this awareness, you are truly loving yourself. The barriers fall away, and what was once struggle becomes effortless exchange. The relationship becomes a living testimony that all is one, and that the outer world is forever the echo of the inner state. To live from this understanding is to live in mastery. You cease being a reactor to circumstance and become a conscious creator of experience. You see the divine order behind every encounter, and even moments of conflict lose their sting, for you know they are calls to return to alignment. Your SP, like every figure in your world, is simply revealing the contents of your own imagination. And when imagination is purified by love, every reflection becomes beautiful. The words, I am, are the beginning and the end of creation, the pure essence of existence speaking itself into form. When you say, I am, you are declaring the name of being, the identity that gives rise to all experiences. Before any description, before any condition, there is only awareness, the silent knowing that I am. Everything added to it, rich, poor, loved alone, confident, fearful, is a garment you choose to wear. The invisible I am is the life. The descriptions are the shapes it takes. To understand this is to discover the root of all manifestation. Every event in your world is a reflection of what you attach to this sacred phrase. When you say, I am unloved, you command the unseen to mirror rejection. When you say, I am desired, you summon affection. The universe listens only to I am, not to wishes or complaints. It takes the identity you assume as fact and organizes itself to make it visible. The outer world is the obedient echo of the inner declaration. Therefore, the wise guard the words that follow, I am, as they would guard their breath. Many people believe circumstances define identity, but it is identity that defines circumstances. If you think of yourself as unlucky, life will conspire to fulfill that image. If you assume you are blessed, opportunities unfold without effort. The difference is not in external fortune, but in the self-concept silently repeated day and night. The phrase I am is the creative center of consciousness, and whatever you consciously or unconsciously attach to it becomes the tone of your existence. This law operates whether one knows it or not. Most use I am carelessly, speaking limitations into life. They say, I am tired, I am stuck, I am always the one who is forgotten. Each repetition deepens the groove in consciousness, and soon reality must agree. The mirror cannot reflect what is not presented before it. Yet the moment you awaken to your authorship, the same law becomes your ally. Begin to speak differently, feel differently, and the same creative power that once produced lack will now produce abundance. The words, I am, are not mere affirmations, they are acts of awareness. When you say, I am healthy, you are not pretending, you are acknowledging the eternal life that animates you. When you say, I am loved, you are not pleading, you are identifying with the source of love itself. The power lies not in convincing the outer world, but in assuming the truth inwardly until it feels natural. Once the feeling of being has been accepted, the world rearranges itself with mathematical precision to reflect that assumption. To work with I am, you must first strip away the belief that it belongs to the small self, the personality or name you carry. The true I am is beyond gender, beyond role, beyond form. It is the formless consciousness that says, I exist. When you affirm from this higher awareness, you are invoking the creative power of the universe itself. The small self may whisper doubt, but the deeper I am remains unshaken. It is the eternal witness that observes all experiences, but is not limited by them. In daily life, begin to watch the words that follow, I am. They reveal the state you inhabit. If you catch yourself saying, I am afraid, pause and choose again. Replace it with, I am safe. If you say, I am waiting, replace it with, I am fulfilled. Speak the new identity until it feels like home. The transformation happens not because you force belief, but because you redirect awareness. Consciousness molds itself to whatever it observes as true. You may wonder how two small words can alter the course of life. But consider this, every creation begins with self-recognition. The seed knows itself as oak before the forest exists. In the same way, when you know yourself as love, health, or abundance, you set the pattern that the invisible must follow. The I am state is the mold, experience is the casting. Once the mold is changed, the casting cannot remain the same. This is the foundation of spiritual education. To learn that all power flows from identity. You cannot act beyond the concept of self you hold. A poor self cannot produce riches. A weak self cannot demonstrate strength. To act differently, you must be differently in consciousness. When you affirm, I am powerful, you are not becoming something new. You are remembering what was true all along. The affirmation is simply the bridge that carries awareness from forgetfulness to realization. The practice of claiming, I am, requires persistence. For the old self-concept will attempt to reassert itself. You may feel resistance, but do not battle it. Observe it as the echo of a state you no longer occupy. Continue to dwell in the new identity until it feels effortless. When the statement, I am successful, or I am loved, feels as ordinary as breathing, the work is complete. The outer world will then display evidence without strain, for it can only mirror what is sustained within. It is important to feel the power and sanctity of I am. Speak it softly, reverently, as though addressing the divine within. When you say, I am, pause for a moment before adding anything else. Feel the stillness of pure being. In that silence lies the source of every creation. Then add your desired state. I am free. I am chosen. I am prosperous. Let the words vibrate through your body until they cease to feel like language and become knowing. This is prayer in its highest form, not supplication but identification. Every declaration of I am summons unseen forces into alignment. Doors open, people shift, conditions rearrange, not by your command but by the silent law of correspondence. The outer always bows to the inner. Speak carelessly, and you bind yourself to limitation. Speak consciously, and you unlock infinite possibility. You have been using this power all your life, though perhaps unconsciously. Now you learn to use it deliberately. Remember, the creative power does not distinguish between affirmation and complaint. It only responds to feeling. If you continually affirm lack by saying, I am without, the universe obeys as faithfully as when you affirm abundance. The choice of identity is always yours. The moment you choose differently, the axis of your world begins to shift. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable, for reality has no choice but to echo the name of being you declare. To live with awareness of I am is to live as creator. It is to understand that no condition can define you unless you consent. The power that shaped stars and seasons listens to the tone of your self-definition. Choose wisely what follows those sacred words, for they are not mere expressions. They are decrees of creation itself. To change your inner belief is to alter the entire structure of your world. Nothing stands outside of consciousness, and nothing has independent power apart from your assumption. What you believe within yourself about life, about others, and about love forms the pattern that reality must express. When you say that a person must reflect your belief, you are describing an immutable law. The outer mirrors the inner, without exception. The drama of your life is not a collection of random acts, but the unfolding of inner conviction, silently rehearsed and faithfully enacted by the stage of the world. Every belief carries its own vibration, its own atmosphere. You live within that atmosphere and call it life. If you believe that relationships are difficult, every connection will echo that belief. If you believe that love comes easily and naturally, the same people who once seemed distant will begin to behave differently. They have not changed in essence. Your belief about them has shifted, and so the mirror returns a new image. Reality does not resist transformation, it only waits for instruction. The instruction is belief, sustained, felt, and accepted as true. Belief is not an intellectual statement but a state of being. You can declare, I am loved, yet still feel unworthy, and the feeling will overrule the words. The subconscious accepts only what is felt to be true. It listens not to your voice but to your vibration. This is why self-concept is the foundation of every change. You may try to manipulate circumstances or persuade others, but if your inner conviction remains the same, the pattern repeats. Once you alter belief, the pattern dissolves naturally, and new expressions appear as easily as dawn follows night. To understand this is to reclaim mastery. You cease blaming people, events, or fate. You realize that your SP, your environment, your opportunities are all contained within the field of your awareness. They respond to the mood you consistently occupy. If you hold the belief that you are overlooked, even the most attentive partner will seem inattentive, for the mind filters reality to confirm its assumptions. But if you hold the belief that you are cherished, even silence feels full of love. The outer event has not changed your interpretation, your belief has. Belief is the sculptor of perception. It determines what you notice and what you ignore. Two people can share the same moment and live entirely different experiences because each filters life through a unique state of consciousness. You cannot perceive love while believing yourself unlovable. The two states cannot occupy the same space. To see love, you must first become it. To receive kindness, you must first assume you are worthy of it. You do not beg for these qualities, you embody them, and then the world echoes that embodiment in infinite ways. This law operates with perfect neutrality. It does not punish or reward, it mirrors. If you believe in struggle, struggle will faithfully appear. If you believe in grace, ease will accompany you. The mirror never argues, it reflects whatever image stands before it. This understanding invites responsibility, for you can no longer claim that life happens to you. It happens through you, and as you, the beliefs you sustain, consciously or unconsciously, shape the destiny you experience. The moment you change belief, destiny must obey. The process of changing belief begins in imagination. You cannot simply deny an old assumption, you must replace it with a living image of its opposite. Suppose you have believed that love must be earned. Sit quietly and imagine what it feels like to be loved freely, without condition. Picture your SP looking at you with warmth, hear their voice filled with tenderness, and feel the ease of being fully accepted. Let this scene absorb you until it feels real. In that moment, you have implanted a new belief in the subconscious. The outer world, being the servant of the inner, will find countless ways to reflect it. Belief also thrives on repetition. Each time you dwell in the new assumption, you reinforce the new pattern. The subconscious is impressionable. It learns through consistency, not effort. You do not struggle to believe, you relax into it, the way a seed relaxes into soil. Over time, the new feeling becomes natural, and what once felt imagined becomes ordinary reality. People, situations, and even chance encounters rearrange to align with the new vibration. You will know that belief has changed when reaction changes. Once, the absence of a message might have caused anxiety. Now it feels inconsequential. Once, a careless word might have wounded. Now it passes through you untouched. The external trigger is the same, but the inner response has shifted, and that is proof that the foundation of belief has moved. From that point, the world begins to reorganize, for reality must echo the consciousness that perceives it. There is immense freedom in this. You no longer chase results, you cultivate belief. You no longer monitor appearances, you attend to inner conviction. The one who understands this law becomes calm, for they know that every change sought outside begins inside. The SP who seems distant, the circumstance that feels immovable, all are images animated by belief. Alter the belief, and the image must reform. Every word you speak to yourself is a seed of belief. The inner dialogue repeated each day, those quiet phrases that run beneath awareness, are shaping tomorrow's experiences. Listen to them. Are they affirmations of fear or of faith? Replace every word of doubt with the language of certainty. Declare silently, I am the one who is loved, and feel the truth of it. Let that feeling saturate every thought until it becomes your natural atmosphere. Soon, without forcing or striving, you will witness reflections of that belief everywhere you turn. The transformation is not magic, it is law. The outer world cannot resist the weight of a sustained inner conviction. When belief is aligned with desire, reality must comply. It may appear through unexpected means, through new people or altered behavior from the old, but it will come because it is already finished in consciousness. To change belief is to step into a parallel state of existence, one where the desired outcome is already true. Remain faithful to that state, and the outer world will mirror it with precision. So let every moment be a lesson in belief. Observe what life shows you, and instead of reacting, adjust the assumption behind it. Speak only of what you choose to be true. Feel only what you wish to perpetuate. Belief is creation's engine, and you are its driver. When you change your inner belief, you do not beg the world to transform, you compel it to. The mirror cannot refuse the face that stands before it, and your SP, your circumstances, your entire reality are no exception. Every truth shared in these teachings points to one unshakable realization. Everything begins and ends within. The outer world is not the master, but the mirror, faithfully reflecting the state you occupy in consciousness. To say, I am the one, is not arrogance, it is remembrance. The quiet awakening to your own creative divinity. Each keynote reveals a facet of the same law that imagination, feeling, and belief are not tools you use occasionally, but the essence of what you are. When you learn that you are the cause and not the effect, the relationship between yourself and the world changed forever. No longer do you wait for another to choose you, to affirm you, to make you whole. You assume the identity of the one already chosen, already loved, already complete. This assumption is not fantasy but creation in its purest form. The moment you feel it real, life must conform to it. The mirror of your SP, the circumstances of your life, the conditions of your day, all dance to the silent music of your inner conviction. When you speak, I am, with understanding, you are moving the unseen substance from which all forms arise. The universe bends to your consciousness, not because it obeys you as a servant, but because it is you, your expanded self, echoing your own decree. There is nothing to chase, nothing to beg for, nothing to fear. The power that creates galaxies lives in your awareness, waiting for direction. You direct it not by effort, but by assumption, by feeling the wish fulfilled, by seeing with the inner eye what the senses cannot yet behold. Every affirmation, every imaginal act, every chosen belief is a stroke of creation upon the canvas of being. So walk as the one who knows. Let your words spring from identity, not from need. When you affirm love, know that you are its source. When you imagine harmony, feel it as already accomplished. Persist in this awareness, and your world will mirror it with precision. The people you meet, the opportunities that unfold, the behavior of your SP, all will testify to one truth: consciousness alone creates reality. In the end, the journey leads back to the same eternal realization that the I am within you is the author of every scene. To master it is to live deliberately, to dream awake. And when you live from that knowing, every desire, every relationship, every heartbeat becomes the proof that the infinite lives through you.